Eat the microphone.
I don't. I hate to eat microphones. No, I don't.
I mean, bring it closer to you.
But I'm sitting. I am a committed, committed person. And I remember when it happened to me totally, and I can follow all this process.
You can?
Yes, totally. And I'm sitting with one big question in my heart and my mind. And it is, why that we are given such a helper from God, our Creator.
We don't know that, though. A lot of us don't know that.
The
You know
others
it.
don't.
You know it. You're familiar with it.
But my question is to you. You also know it.
I do.
I do. You do.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to get people to realize it.
But why is his name then nearly forbidden?
No, it's not forbidden. Because I've already mentioned his name quite a number of times this evening.
Have
you have to understand this.
Yes.
And it's a good question, and I thought I answered it, is that Jesus has been misrepresented.
Exactly.
And he's been crammed down the throats of people listening to this, so that it is like holding a red flag in front of a bull. If I was to start off with that kind of talk, the Jesus language, which is the preacher stuff and not the real stuff, walk out. I'd lose them. You don't want me to lose them, do you?
No, I exactly do not want either you or Jesus to lose them.
You understand that what I care for these people,
I understand,
and I want to
yes.
bring them. I want to bring these people back, to what you say. I'm sure you found it. What you say. I'm sure you found it. That's assuming you have. I want to bring them to that, but I want these are very thoughtful people. They are very conditioned. They've been hurt by having Jesus shoved down their throat for years. They even hate God. They hate Jesus. They hate the Catholic Church. They hate the Church of England. They said, this is God, I want nothing to do with it, I'm going to go to hell, and it's more honest. And now they want to come back, but the point is what drove them away is standing in the path saying, Jesus loves you. Oh God, it drives them straight away. Now, I don't mean to be, I think you see that I know that the only pathway to truth is because there is a plan of salvation, but most Christians do not understand it. The problem with Christ is Christianity. The problem with Judaism is the problem with Moses is Jews. The problem with Muhammad is Mohammedans. See? So you bear with me. I have my own way of dealing with these delightful people. See? So you happy you found it. Let me do it my way.
Follow it.
Okay, thank you. There we go. Anybody else? Oh, there we go. There we go.
You say, based on what you believe the Jews and the Christians started with.
Years ago.
Yeah. How do you base that? Because the Bible says to meditate on the Word.
I know, but the Bible isn't complete. And the Bible, it says meditate, but it doesn't tell you what meditation is. And so I'll just tell you there was a time several thousand years ago, about 2,500 years ago, 2,200 years ago, that what happened in Israel, you see happening in America today. Everybody's got their guru, they've got crystals, and they start the meditation, and they import people from the Far East with long beards, and they sit cross-legged, and and you've got all these people, and you've got all these thousands of different channeling, spiritualizing, meditation, and it was very destructive, as it is destructive in America, and will be destructive if it gets over here. And so the authorities, there is but very few people go through that. Very few people go for it. The need for meditation, it was reserved mostly for the high priests, who are supposed to have had it specially set aside for seeking persons on a certain level. That's why I warned you, I'm going to be giving you a cassette later on, whether you can afford it or not, I'll give it to you. And it's only I'll give it to you. And it's only a 60-minute cassette, and it's cheap. And about the price you expect to pay for any cassette. But the trouble is, it can be misused. I started off by telling you early on in the discussion today that I can be misused, and you can put me on a pedestal, and you can start mistaking me for God. And the meditation then becomes a hypnotic thing, as they all are. There's only one true form of doing it, but very few people want to go through that because it means giving up self. But there's other forms of meditation, which is a hypnotic thing, which reproduces meditation, but it's the wrong God. That one's much easier. You're already set on the path of giving into that. You get to it much quicker that way. See? There's peace with God and there's peace apart from God. Most people seek the peace apart from God. Most people seek the peace apart from God, and it's also a form of meditation. You can escape into your mind doing mantras. Hare Krishna, Om, Om. There's no place like Om. Disassociation. I'll explain all that some other time. There was terrible danger, and so they just shut down all forms of it, and all we were left with was the legalism, dead legalism. And now there's a great need for the inner. See, the yogas and they do have what we Christians need. There's a difference. The Christians have the history, and the yogas, to some degree, at least appear to have the mystery which goes with the history. You see? But I know they don't have it. As I don't have it. As I know that there are meditations. See, I know more than they do, because they lose themselves in this identifying with the whole universe, and they melt into the universe. Yeah, that's Buddha. That's not what Buddha taught, but that's what came from it. And they melt into the egos melt into the universe, and they become identified with the greatness of the universe. That's another God trip. See? So there's also Zen Buddhism, which is not mystical either. It's something you learn. It's academic. There's nothing intuitive about it. You learn all the things to be intuitive about, so it looks like you're a great and wonderful geezer. You look like you have all this great wisdom. You learned it all. And you sit, the quietness is not the true quietness. I tell you, you don't have to go to school to learn what I'm teaching you. That's why I talk to you in the negative. All I'm doing is a prosecuting attorney for what's wrong with you. If you can recognize it, repent of it, you're home free. And all you have to do is have a little quietness every day in a special way, and the light will come in and filter down and make you a new person. And it will make you a new person according to his vision. You'll become wise naturally, carefree. You don't have to teach a bird to build a nest, and you don't have to teach a canary how to sing, and a bee to build a beehive. Then why do we have to be taught to be religious? Why do we have to be taught anything by any human being? What does the scripture say? Well, not every man shall say to his brother, know ye the Lord. But the Lord shall put the laws in their minds, and their hearts I shall write them. And they shall be to me a people, and I will be their God, and they shall be a people. It goes on to say some other things too, don't remember. Thing is, you do not need to be taught. You do not need to be taught by anybody, including me. I'm the mind sweeper. I sweep the traps out of the way, and give you a clear shot at what you need to do. Help you to untangle a few things. You thought something and it wasn't. I free you from those traps, and then let you go on. But you go on your own. That's why I can't build a big organization, except a few people come back and want help. See? Yeah. She's a stickler. She's going to push it. She wants you all to pray. Me too, but I hope that satisfies you.
This morning, when you were talking about people who just won't hear or can't hear the truth.
Pardon, I didn't miss that.
This morning, when you were talking about, there were some people that just couldn't. When they were talking about the nuns, for instance, that for instance, that they just couldn't hear the truth.
Some people can't.
I've found that if you bind the strong man in them, many of them then can hear the truth.
How do you mean by? I think I know what you mean, but would you like?
Yeah,
to
well,
explain?
there are spirits in them which are stopping them,
Yes.
blinding them and deafening them.
The lady's right.
If you bind to a strong man's house, except you first bind the strong man, and if you do bind the deceiving spirit or the lying spirit,
Right.
sometimes those people can immediately see it. Others just won't. They
I
don't
have to
want
tell you though, but the
some
point is the
can.
binding of it is by the strength of preaching, the strengthening of what I call teaching. It's not really. I was on a program in Boston one time, and this fellow was a homosexual. No one knew it. I knew it. But he's the resident intellect. He has all intellect but no common sense. And I have lots of common sense but very little intellect. My intellect simply is the housing. My intellect simply is the housing for what passes through when I discover something. It settles in there and I can use it again. Reorganize it with a newer idea. Whenever I speak to people, it's always fresh and new. I never get bored of talking to people. I'm not an actor on the stage rehearsing the same lines. It's always different, always new, and always alive. And so I went in there, and I know what his intention was, to give me a hard time. The moment I sat down and looked at him and spoke to him, he couldn't talk. So I did a 2-hour radio show on his program. And someone called up. He said, "What happened to you?" He says, "You don't let your guests usually take over your..." He said, "I don't know what happened with this Roy Masters fellow. My mind was paralyzed. There was something in him that, the more rotten a person is, the more what is in you paralyzes, binds the in the other person. Binds the in the other person. Little children love me. Little innocent children love me because I am what they are. But when they get old and rotten and mean and cantankerous and full of rottenness and canker, then you meet these people, and immediately I can just, when I do talk show programs, or I hear the other guy when I was talking the way I talk about booze, about the things the way I do talk about them. Today, in condensed form, I could see him, his little rear end puckering up, pardon me. I could see him. I could see he could see he couldn't say it. He couldn't be angry with me. Too strong for him. I hear a hint of an objection rising, but I put it down. You bind them. That's what you do. But on Monday I'll do a little of that, and you'll see it. I'll demonstrate it to you. I'll demonstrate it to you. If you believe in exorcism, anybody believe in exorcism? There are things inside you right now cringing, and I'll show you a few little things that you could expect to see in the Old Testament.
I'll be your first volunteer.
Yeah. I'm going to show you what. No, well, you're a good candidate. Any other questions? Oh, anything?
Compulsory celibacy. You know, in the Catholic Church they have compulsory celibacy, but it's not really adhered to at all times.
Well, how could it be anything compulsory? Anything that's compulsory makes you want it more.
Yeah, I know. So do you think the next Pope should abolish it?
No, I don't think he'd listen to me anyway. Well, if you have a problem with Catholicism, just don't be a Catholic. That simply solves the problem.
Yeah, I just thought I wanted your opinion on it.
No, I know, but if you have a problem with it, don't be a Catholic. And you have a problem with it anymore.
See, it's a pity that the Catholic Church has a few friends priests, and that's what they're missing. They're missing just an education.
The connection within.
In Ireland, we have no abortion, we have no divorce.
I like that
I
idea.
mean, it's one of the last nations on earth that has no abortion, no divorce. But we're still missing something, and Roy has that's what we're missing.
Yeah, that's right.
See,
I mean, and you have abortion and divorce.
by the way, the socialists were... Pardon?
It's all the Irish coming out of that divorce.
Yeah, that's right, probably. Yes, young lady.
I'm Irish, from in Ireland, and I was brought up Catholic,
I just love to hear the Irish speak. It puts me to, I just love to hear the Irish speak. It puts me to, it just sends me. The Irish, I love the Irish.
Gotta feel like
You
a pop
Cockneys
star.
can learn a few things from the Irish.
And I have swayed away from it because I can't believe in that anymore.
Yeah.
And my partner, his brother is a born-again Christian. And
A born-again turkey is still a turkey.
that's true. And I think with the Catholic Church, I think what happens is you have somebody up there telling you to believe in this, and this is the right way to believe in it.
Yeah.
But yet they can't identify with you with problems, say if you're married or whatever.
That's right.
Because they're priests and they are supposed to be celibate, but I think there's something a little bit wrong there. And I think that's why I can't identify with them. I think I need somebody who can guide me.
But the thing is, what the priest is, religion like Catholicism is magnificent religion, in the sense that ancient Israel, the laws of was the law of the land. So there was no separation between the church and the state. The church was the state. So therefore, in America and in England, we did have, in the old days, the same laws of the heart that were on the books. That's perfect, because in legalism, it's the next best thing. Because I don't need someone to tell me thou shalt not steal. I wouldn't steal if there wasn't such a law. So the law isn't for me, it's only for people who are lawless. You take away the law, and you've got lawlessness. Because the law restricts, and you've got lawlessness. Because the law restricts the wicked and protects the good. But you don't need someone telling you, you shalt not steal, thou shalt not commit adultery. You don't need that. That is legalism, and that's good. That's a good part of a religious state. It's a good part of what a good God. But the spiritual part is what we're dealing with now.
Yes.
See? Leave those laws alone, but don't let them impose upon you on the outside. The old ancient Israelites made a terrible mistake. First of all, they made this terrible, terrible mistake. And the mistake was this, is that Moses, or let's go back to Abraham, who wasn't Jewish. Abraham wasn't Jewish, he was just a nomad. But he lived from the laws of the heart. There were no books. And he was counted, his righteousness, his faith in God put in his heart was counted as righteousness. He says, and so all true Jews are like him. In him all nations shall be blessed. But his seed will be like this, the Savior would come through his seed. Because like I said, the tree had the seed and a forest in it, a nation. So the true Jew is a person who lives by faith. The righteous live by faith, not by rules and regulations. The church has forgot that. See? It's too dead, too formal, too litigious. See? And so, an Egyptian, he never knew anything about religion. He wasn't brought up a Jew, but suddenly he gave up being next in line for the throne. What do you want? Hell, do you want to do that for? He could have been king of Egypt and said to the Jews, "Go, yeah, get out of here. You're free." That wouldn't have served the purpose. But he had it in his heart. It sprang to life all of a sudden. He couldn't be an Egyptian. He had to become eventually a leader of a nomadic tribe. But that was to be 40 years later. He didn't even know why he was doing it. Thing is, he also was led by heart. But they had so much of Egyptians in them, you see, that they had to wander in the wilderness 40 years to get rid of all of them so the new generation would spring up. They didn't need to wander 40 years in the wilderness because they knew where they were going. They just went around in circles. That's not a very big wilderness. Not to wander around 40 years in it. God wanted to kill all, let them all die, so that a new breed enters Israel. See, and so, but Moses had truth. But the reason why he had the law is because the people were hard-hearted. They didn't have the law in the heart. They had it on stone. They had to have that, or there wouldn't have been a nation. It's a stern schoolmaster. But the Israelites made the mistake of getting into the law and cloaking their unrighteousness with dead legalism. So they became a priest, and they became a rabbi, and they became a high priest, and they're into their law, thinking that the law will save them. The law won't save them. They still don't know that today. I'm Jewish, by the way, in case you didn't know. How many Jewish people here? One. Only one, two. How many Catholics here?
I'm Jewish.
You Jewish?
Yes, to the Christian gospel, to the belief.
Oh, well, here she goes again. I'm right about her. But I appreciate it anyway. I don't want it to affect these people negatively. I don't want it to affect these people negatively. I know you think you're doing the right thing, but you're not. Sweet little thing she is. I know, she wants to help everybody. But she doesn't realize she's holding up this red flag. You know, this red flag in front of the wolf.
Why a red flag? Could have been the blue flag. No, I've always believed that Our Lady was born without sin. But
She was. She was born. What she gave birth to, the man she gave birth to, only he was born without sin.
Oh.
She was born.
She was born in sin, was she?
Of course.
Oh. It's funny that the Catholics have always taught the opposite.
No, they're all lying to their teeth. It's not true. It's just an ordinary woman.
Yeah. That she
She
said.
was a good woman. She was a good woman.
Oh, she's a good woman.
Sure.
She must have been a very beautiful woman.
She's a beautiful, lovely, decent, good-hearted woman. Good.
Same principle.
She's a
Yeah,
good
well,
heart.
you know, there's this story of.
Otherwise, she wouldn't have been picked for this deal.
Yeah.
Let's not discuss too much. Let's save it for later. Save it for later.
You know the
We're
story of
getting
Saint
off the
Bernadette.
subject.
Yeah, Saint Bernadette claimed that Our Lady introduced herself as the Immaculate Conception. That would she was born without sin. What do
Nah.
you think of that?
No. No, you got to be. You Catholics have got to be careful. They're pulling a little.
Yeah, the
Rug over your
her
eyes.
eyes. Yeah, that's right.
So you
Yeah.
can't. Well, let's do it another time.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I'd like to.
Yeah,
that.
let's talk the religious stuff. I've got the very last day, so we get all the good stuff, all the psychological warfare, all the games that people play with your head. I'll do a little hypnosis to show you, like how easy it is to influence a person's mind. I mean, they won't even know it. I mean, I'll spend 2 days telling you. I'll spend 2 days telling you. Now, this is what the person's going to do when he comes up here. And the person's right now, what's going to happen is listening in the audience. Then I'm going to say to you, I'm going to make him do this, change his shoes around on the wrong feet. That's my favorite one. And why did you change your shoes around? He'll say, well, because they felt uncomfortable. Then I'll say, I made you do it. Now, who made you do it? You made me do it. Okay, why did you change your shoes around? Because they felt uncomfortable. They actually cannot see, even though they heard the words, that something other than them has made them do it. I can yell in their ear and say, I made you do it. Now who did it? Well, you say you did, but they do feel awkward. Do you remember me saying that? Yeah. Did you hear me tell you that I was going to make you do it? Yes. Now why did you do it? I don't know. But I just said, I made you do it. You said, you agreed I made you do it. Now why did you do it? Now, what you see in there is the influences of life what you see in there is the influences of life that are obvious to you. Your children are being influenced by forces. You can see it, but they can't. How do you make them see it? This guy that comes around the house seems to have control. She's homing in on some weakness, and you put it there, believe it or not. And so, how can you stop this happening? You see your child being lost. How do you stop it? How do you get them to see it? Because the person has so much control over your, because even the person has so much control over your daughter or your wife or your son. You know, they're taking him for a ride, and they have so much control that they can tell him, I'm making you do it, but they won't believe it. Yeah, I'm going to take you to the cleaners. They don't believe it. But he says, but I am going to do it. No, you wouldn't do that to me. They go off and see, they won't see it. There's something very mysterious about this force, and I say, if I can do that from my mouth to their ear, how much more so the devil works? How much more so the devil works in you? That's even more subtle. So I'll pull him out of somebody and show him to you on Monday. I'll show you this cackling little thing. I'll hang him up on the string and say, here he is. You're going to freak out. So I guess nobody's going to be here on Monday. Let's see what time. Oh my goodness, we've got to get out of here now. Well, thank you very much for your kind indulgence. No, I haven't. We've got to get out of here by 5. So no, we can't.
Could you hold on a moment, please, ladies and gentlemen? This evening we've put on a special function for you all, +5, in the Ashburn Suite, where you can mingle and mix with each other. It's not often you get a chance to speak with like-minded people, so...
I got to rest sometime.
Some of the organisers from the FHU will be there. Members of the Catalyst magazine will be there, so if you have any useful suggestions or questions you want to ask, then please come along and talk to us.
And you people who have been here for visiting today, if you like to come back tomorrow, you'll see somebody, and I think you'll find it well worth it. This is a very expensive operation. We're just going to break even, I think, before. So you might want to help and get benefit at the same time. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Thank you, young man. What's your name? Aaron. Thank you. Bye.
Before you all go,
I'm going to give these to my wife, and I'll pretend like I bought them for her.
We've got to get to pay these. Those who've heard Roy for the first time, I say today's been paid for by other people who have supported Roy. Everyone else has paid £45 for the day. We'd be more grateful if you could pay that for the next 2 days. Heard Roy for the first time have paid. They're quite welcome to come for the next 2 days, but today has been paid by those who have contributed £45 for the day. And we really need the support, the financial support. It costs an awful lot.
Well, you think if you think it's worth it, you'll come back.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. No arm twisting.
For more information, please write to FHU 27 Old Gloucester Street, London, WC1N 3XX, or email fm